Welcome to the Power of Music podcast, brought to you by JM International. Get ready to explore conversations with those making a difference through music.
Hello, and welcome to the Power of Music podcast, brought to you by JMI, Jeunesse Musicale International, the global network of NGOs that empowers young people through music across all boundaries. In this episode, we continue our special series recorded at WOMEX 2024, the premier worldwide music expo where artists, industry professionals, and cultural leaders from around the world gather to exchange ideas, collaborate, and celebrate musical diversity. Today, we're thrilled to host Wozzy Brewster, the visionary founder and executive director of the Midi Music Company, a groundbreaking music education and talent development charity in London. Since 1995, Wozzy has been guiding young, diverse talent in the UK music scene, working with some of today's most innovative artists and brands. Her influence extends across several key organizations, from the UK Music Diversity Taskforce to the BRIT Voting Academy and beyond. In our conversation, Wozzy shares her invaluable insights into the merits of passion and skill, what it takes to excel as an organizer and manager, and the critical role of bridging music education with the music business. We also explore her dedication to promoting diversity in the UK music scene, as well as her experience at WOMEX and the journey of leading MMC with love and light. As always, if you enjoy our content, don't forget to subscribe, like, and rate the podcast. We hope you enjoy the episode. Thank you so much for joining us today. First, what has been your journey into music and how did you end up with the Midi Music Company?
My journey into music is a story that begins when I'm 5 years old, and I basically surrounded by music in my family. My mum's avid listener of music. My gran was an Elvis Presley fan. We played Dolly Parton. We had Isaac Hayes, Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, Bob Marley. We had music, and my mum had a real habit of kind of going, oh, I really like that album, when it was advertised on TV, and that was the hint that this was an album perhaps I should go and buy for her. So we collected vinyl and 7-inch vinyl as well. So I grew up with a lot of music that actually I was an actress and performer and writer and creator, and ended up being an actress and performing in musicals and Shakespeare and that journey. But my love was always music, age 5, performing and also learning 12-string guitar. So because I was a creator, I realized that I was really good at organizing people, places. And when I was about 23 years old, I became an arts administrator, and I worked for a youth theatre, and I co-founded Second Wave Young Women's Project, working with writers, working with actresses, getting Glenda Jackson to be a patron, and coordinating plays and directing plays and helping young people to launch their own theatre companies. And I guess when you go through that process, you actually do recognise the skills that you have. And that's the thing for anybody listening. You need to look at the skills that you have, what you're good at, and hopefully what you're passionate about, because you need passion in the creative industries and the music industry. If you haven't got any passion, I don't think it'll last very long. So you really got to do that journey. And I think it was at that point, when I was around about 25, that I realised there was an opportunity to manage the venue, the theatre, which had a huge music programme. And I applied to do that job. And I had 2 jobs. So I was the house manager for the theatre, running the programmes, the staff, the bar, all of that. And I was also still working for the youth theatre, teaching drama and organising stuff and raising money and fundraising. So those organisation skills were really beginning to come to the fore. And I was headhunted by Community Music London to be their South East London manager. And I decided that it was time, having run the venue and worked with top bands and managers and just lots of people. Whoopi Goldberg we had Jamiroquai, we had Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, we had Bobby McFerrin, You had all of these amazing artists. Smooth Operator. Who's that artist? She sings Smooth Operator. Sade. Touching the Hands of Grace Jones on a TV program that was being filmed in the theatre. And that inspiration, first of all, I'd never been headhunted before. So it was new to me as a young person, somebody coming to you, you're under 30, and they're saying, hey, I see that you have skills and you're running this theatre and you're doing all this stuff and we'd love you to apply for this job. And you're thinking, have I got it already? I have to go through the same process? So you go through the same process. They let me know where it was going to be advertised and all the rest of it. And you go through the same process, but you still prepare yourself professionally. So you have to make sure that your CV's all done. You have to think about what skills you can offer into this job. You have to think about why you maybe changed your role in your jobs. So at that time, I was kind of changing roles every 2 years, but I was actually going up but staying within the same company. So I stayed with that company for 6 years. And I remember it was a question they asked me in the interview, oh, why are you always changing? I said, I'm into long term. If there's room for me to grow within an organisation, then that's where the change will come. It may be a different job title, but I'm still within the organisation and have something to offer. And I got that job, obviously. And I ran a music programme across South East London for 6 years. And it grew and it was very successful. Probably did one of the first music technology training programs for young people. It was a 2-year course, part-time course, opportunities for young people to go internationally, taking them abroad for cultural exchanges to broaden their knowledge, their breadth, skill, understanding, culture, everything that can go into the creation of music. The more you look into people and culture and places, and to me, clubbing and shopping. They're the two things that when I travel and work abroad, you have this opportunity to feel a space through shopping, the markets especially, and through the club culture, because I love to dance. So that really led me to, because the program I was running became very successful, being underneath an umbrella organisation and being a registered charity, it makes it quite difficult to apply for funds because you've got the overall organisation, the bigger organisation, then you've got these pockets of organisation. And the then director, Dave O'Donnell, encouraged me to go independent. Very, very scary time because I didn't mind being a manager, but I'd never been the person in charge. And all of a sudden you were being challenged to challenge yourself. And I was very blessed to work on a European program with the Prince's Trust called A Place in Europe, where I worked in Lithuania and I also worked in Germany. And I was based in Vilnius and Berlin and London. And there were 6 of us working together to understand how to develop international programs, youth exchanges, fundraise for it. And I did that project for 6 months. And I was very blessed to work with a philosopher, writer, Rule Captain. And he'd written books and he was part of our training team. And I was telling him what was going on in my career. And he said, hey, I said, I don't really want to do the finance stuff. And I hated maths. I was more of an English literature, English language. I like languages. And he said, whatever you don't know, you can learn. There's a course for everything. 74-year-old wise being. And they'll never forget those words because that helped me to make the decision that I could set up something. And I booked myself on some courses on cash flows and budgeting and all of that stuff. I'd already applied for funding when I was 19 for the Basement Youth Theatre and I raised £50,000 and I was really proud of getting that money out of London Arts Board way back then. So I knew I could do it. I didn't really want to be too much on the admin side, but then you could create something to fill a gap. And being a charity, wanting to look at what's happening for young people in music, how are emerging artists brokering their, journey into the commercial side of the music industry? Why do schools teach music education but not music business? All the things that I was thinking about that were gaps within the industry, but really wanting to bridge the gap between music education and the music business so that people could become real artists, real professionals within the field. And I guess hence the Midi Music Company was born. And funny enough, as Womex celebrates its 30th anniversary, we will do that in 2025. It's a journey that I've been very blessed. Working with so many amazing people. We have Jazzy B from Soul to Soul, who's our patron. We've got Shovel from M People. We've got Shaka Khan, who's our patron.
Wonderful.
Skin, Skunker Nancy, Nomsky, Kai Tempest, and we'll be announcing new patrons for our 30th anniversary. And what's beautiful is they're patrons who've come through program and who are now amazingly, up there, out there. New partnerships, developing our studio, creating opportunities and platforms for talent development, but also very much creating opportunities for young people's voices in music. So I guess that journey, when you thought you wanted to be the performer and realize, I like it, it's okay, having articles in the stage and saying, this one is crazy, where they said, I hope Wozzy Brewster never gives up singing. And I thought, I won't give up singing, but I just don't want to be famous and I don't need to stay on the stage. I've done it. It's okay. The freelance world was not for me. And I bought my first house when I was 25. So got to pay a mortgage and you got to keep on top of stuff. So I realized that I wasn't very good at that. No work in between. I needed something very stable. And creating the Midi Music Company, even though it was created on £420 in the bank, the original funder, South Thames Training Enterprise Council, went into administration as I launched the charity. But because I had a good track record for delivery, a regeneration program actually gave us funding, £70,000, saved the day. And really the rest is history. It's a lot of fundraising, reporting, a lot more reporting outputs and everything now. But we now have the history. We have Yusuf Days from United Vibrations, who's got his own solo project. He is a Best Album Ivor Novella Award winner. We have Wayne Francis with Steam Down Collective, 2 Jazz FM awards with, Best Life. If you ever get a chance to be in London and go to a Steam Down night at Peckham Levels, you need to do that on a Wednesday night. It's an amazing experience. It's pure appreciation of music. The audience is part of the performance and people don't talk. They're totally there in that performance. You have Shingy from the Noisettes, and in her solo phase now from the Noisettes, just all of these young people that they had a dream and you were privileged to really be on that journey with them to see those dreams come to fruition. Kai Tempest, spotting her, managing United Vibrations, and they used to do a 12-tone night. And I remember going along and seeing Kai Tempest, and she was Kate Tempest and The Sound of Rum. But whoa, what a wordsmith. Amazing artist. And just, they inspire me to want to do more to create a platform so that they can be. And DJ NG, who produced KEB's hit, and now he's teaching for us and he's off program. So I guess this journey for me has really been in a discovery of self and what I'm really good at and what I really enjoy more. And as much as I'll never stop writing lyrics, I may go back to performing, but not really like that tour kind of thing, that more jam improv session. Somebody's you've been to a gig and you're around somebody's house and they're playing and you can just kind of be yourself and chill and there's no pressures of anything. Because sometimes I wonder how people who are famous live through being famous. So if I was to give people advice, don't want to be in music to be famous. It's a lot to manage. I know people who, are really up there on the top end, and to manage your privacy, to manage your time. Now we've got social media in the mix of everything. You don't need to be on it all the time. Take space, meditate, yoga, take up a hobby, sport, something that distracts you and gives you time for self. Take time for self with friends and family. That pressure side, you feel like you're working all the time, but actually I schedule breaks into my calendar.
Wonderful. And also some of the artists that I appreciate, Kai Tempest, I love. And actually, after seeing Yusuf Days at North Sea Jazz, not this year yet, last year, I bought a drum kit. That's
Ooh.
how inspired I was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm curious because you say it's skills and passion. And I think what I also took from your answer is that it's not only knowing the skills you do have, but also knowing the skills you don't have. So you can actually kind of go and do a course, for example. What skills did you recognize within yourself that are most valuable?
Being an artist manager, you have to balance different personalities, people. You have to negotiate situations. You're representing the artist, but you're also dealing with other professionals. So whether it be the booking agent or the venue or the promoter or the festival organizer, your job is right in the midst of everybody and balancing expectations of others and what's realistic for everybody. So your negotiation and communication skills have to be like really on point. You have to work on how you don't take anything personally. When you're representing the artist, you are trying to help them to achieve their vision, their creative vision, and you're trying to bring the right team together to make those things happen. And then you're also respecting the venue or the festival and seeing what they're wanting out of it. And then sometimes you might be the negotiator, the mediator, and hoping that you can pull off whatever it is that the artist is trying to do or whoever's trying to put them for the festival, and that everybody's on point and a caregiver. I bit my tongue with that one, yeah, because you are kind of you're a caregiver. You're making sure that the mental health of your artists is looked after. I like to make sure that they're fed and watered before a gig and not too close to the gig because, they haven't digested their food and all those things that you're thinking about, making sure that after the gig that they're looked after as well and everybody's getting home okay and all of that. And when I do stuff with Chain Scar Brassica, we had a van. It's Chain Scar Brassica, who's a ska reggae band. And sometimes I'll be the driver because actually if I just drive there and drive back, that means they can chill, they can get out, they're not exhausted from anything. You're just going to organise the bits around, they're going to have a really good time, and then it's your job to drive them back to London, make sure that everybody's home safe. But now some of the band live in Belgium, Plymouth, Devon and London, so they're a bit scattered everywhere. So now we kind of realise we've got rid of the van. People will be coming from different directions, but taking care of artists is it's a very another privileged job because you're taking care of the creative. That's the creators of music. That's the buzz, isn't it? The people who are coming up with ideas and lyrics and riffs and everything that gives us that opportunity to feel their presence, their opinions, their emotions, their values, their visions. It's a blessed thing. Really, it's absolutely a blessed position to be in.
I can believe that. So then there's the skills and then there's the passion. For people that are listening, is it just enough to have a passion for music or does it need to be something more specific or something even bigger? And maybe more importantly even, how did you know that it was not just a passion, but it was something more like a why?
Wow, that's packed, that question. It's packed with lots of elements. How do you know? Yes, passion is one thing, but actually in that passion, you have to be open to learning and you have to be willing to understand situations that you don't or skills that you may need. Train. I'm always training. You're always doing a course. I was on a women's tech summit last weekend. And even though I've been running music technology programs for years, it was more about finding out what's new, who's in the market. 305 women were online on this summit. It was amazing from all over the world. So you've got to the passion helps to keep the energy flow, but you also have to understand the trends You have to network. You have to kind of have a bit of foresight as to where the market is going. You got to be able to understand where the niche and the gaps are and try to create something that fills those gaps. I don't really believe in competing. And when I studied creative industries at City University, one of the lecturers was an entrepreneur, a creative entrepreneur teaching us, and she talked about competition. And I said, I don't believe that you have to compete with people. What you have to do is understand the market and then identify where you sit. What's your business and how is it complementary to what already exists? And if you don't compete, you won't be looking over your shoulder or feeling like you have envy of anything else. If you just have awareness of what's around you, then you can basically focus on where you fit and stay focused. So I hope that in the 30 years of the existence of the Midi Music Company, we've stayed on our path. We've allowed new things in. We've gone with the flow with some things. We've realized other things is not for us. It's okay. You do that over there. We're kind of staying here. And I think as we go into the next 30 years, the next 100 years of the Midi Music Company, it's about really finding where we need to move to. Some stuff will stay and it'll be core. Other things will come in, podcasts, different things to allow young people to be able to. We're working with Radiolution, and that's working with the young mayor of Lewisham. That's their project, Radiolution. And we're going to create a slot on there that our young people can play their music, talk about music and culture, but also taking our music industry contacts and allowing our young people to interview them, create programs. How do you make a podcast? And fortunately enough, we're going to have some investment to be able to do that project for 3 years from next year. So it's really about, you're always evolving and being open to mutating to the next phase of yourself. It allows you to grow, and don't worry about if something doesn't work for you. You know, you can trial. We're not very good at drop-in projects, but other youth organisations are really good at drop-in projects. That's okay. You did it once, it really didn't work for you. It's not how you work, it's not how you're structured. We're informal education when we're on the education side. We do music business stuff, and we have a creative industries careers advice service. So that's what we're really good at. That's okay. But add all the things. We try to respond to our client. So students, members, they'll say stuff and you think they're not listening, but you are listening. They say stuff and you note it in your head. It may not be something you can do immediately, but you're thinking, that's a good idea. That's like the next thing to that project. That's the next thing along that pathway. And until you can raise the money for it, as you know, we have to find the investors, and we're non-profit. So you've still got to find a funder for everything. Every idea you have, you've got to piece together this puzzle of money to make it all come together. But you register it. So our internship program was really an idea of one of our artists, Conrad Kira. He was studying, he's got dyslexia, and he was at formal education, but he was struggling. And he basically we had a careers advice session, and he said, look, really, I want to produce, I want to work in a studio, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I was like, okay, let me have a think about that. And we then created a young producers internship program where we pay them expenses. We give them 2 days a week in term time, and we connect them with the industry, and we upskill them, and they're able to access space for free to become their producer, creator selves. And he now produces and DJs. He's been out in Japan. He's done lots of different stuff. He's hosting for us on our next Breakout Club. And since that program started in 2007, we've had a composer, creator who also does orchestral work. We've had DJ NG was an intern, so he's gone on and produced and releasing and remixing for people. We currently have Mo Phoenix, who's folk alt artist, and they start soon. They start next week. We've got Rowan, who also does soundscapes. So we've had all of these, Angelina Luzzi, Barbarella from Barbarella's Bang Bang. She's now working with Faithless, Dave Randall, creating and releasing music. And we take them to the Artists and Managers Awards. We take them to any industry event that I'm attending. I ask for 2 tickets for my interns, and it's about helping them to network. So the learning, the skills, the passion, networking, opportunities, negotiating situations, identifying what you're good at, but also sometimes identifying the things where you need to bring in people, build a team, other people who are really good on socials or whatever that might be. It's a forever changing, and that's just my lived experience. All other organisations, individuals will have their own, but it's being able to recognise that actually I really let things go now. I guess in the beginning, maybe it was all a bit, you're working so hard and and no, you don't have to clear your in tray. With emails and everything now, it's impossible to do that. Do the priority things. Some things can wait. Sometimes you don't want it to wait, but time is limited and we're only human beings. So you have to take care of yourself too.
In nearly 30 years of the Midi Music Company, what is your favorite memory, or which one is the most salient at this moment when I ask that question?
My gosh. Wow. And I'm flashing through a few. My most favourite memory of the Midi Music Company is working with 3 young people, Nevin, Keely and Oggy, talking about the creation of the Midi Music Company and what we felt was missing for young people in Deptford and South London in music, seeing the creation become something, and then sitting one time in my office with Oggy 10, 15, 20 years later and kind of going, we never knew this could happen, that could happen. It really did and still is. We didn't even envisage how big we could be, and we're small. So yeah, that three-way meeting, Nevin is no longer with us, which is a real shame. But I've seen Keely, Oggy, the original 3 young people who made this dream. You're not alone when you are the founder. There are co-founders who support the vision.
And if you look back at the same time period, what has been the greatest challenge? And maybe when we're on it, how did you solve that, or how did you deal with that?
People, teams, people who see your success and want to be a part of it, but may not be bringing the right agenda to the table. Really making sure that people have come to give. We're a charity. It's not a profit-making organisation. So sometimes they may get confused about maybe they've come to receive. Teams are fantastic and work really well. I've had really good teams, the whole team at one time being in the same room, on the same page. The challenge is getting everybody on a continual basis on the same page, especially when staff leave, somebody else comes in, somebody's got a different kind of, they didn't really know you from the inside, so they come in with a different vision for something. And it's not that you don't want new ideas, it's just that we're supposed to be on, there are aims and objectives for charities, and that's the mission. How you fulfill that can be broad, but the aims and objectives are the aims and objectives. That's the vision of everything. So you're always looking for whether somebody shares the dream as you do, wants to give to others. You're kind of that challenge of the people, having the right people in the room. When you get the right team, it's fire. It is fire, because then you don't have to be worrying about the team. You know, everybody's on the same vision board and everything. You can now take care of the other challenge of fundraising, the other challenge of reporting, the other challenge of networking the organisation and being the ambassador for it, the other challenge of being told by PR that you've got to do some social media content, and you go, just film the clients, do the clients, don't do me. You know, all those other things. You can then give energy to that while the team is operating on the same level. People is a challenge. Yeah, people is a challenge because, or people are a challenge because everybody's seeing things through different eyes. But if you can all get what a charity really wants to be, especially when it's a grassroots charity, and get behind that vision and be adding all your little other quirks to it, you're actually going to make a beautiful cake.
I'm personally also very interested in the topic of bridging music education and the sort of business side of things. Do you see that this trend is changing a little bit in the last 30 years? Do you see there is more space and more room for this business education? Are artists more aware of this?
I would say that when we talk about that bridging and artist awareness, there are more organizations now in the field of music, youth music organizations. You've got Young Urban Arts Foundation, who actually, Kerry was a client and I met her through the Prince's Trust, and she had a concept, an idea, and you're able to support that. And then to see her business be 10 years old and doing amazing stuff, and they have a bus that tours and goes into estates. There is more awareness for emerging artists that they do need to have an understanding of the business. And you've got more courses in institutions now, even though sometimes the further and higher education, they don't cover it as widely as it should be. They spend more time on the creation of music and a little bit of time on what the business is. And yet still, to me, they're balanced things. Having that understanding helps you to understand how to earn royalties. Having that understanding helps you understand a range of music organizations, whatever country you're in, that can support you on your journey in music. So it's great if you play an instrument, but it's wonderful if you do know that if you record, what royalty agency you can go through. It's great if you understand what a DSP is, digital service provider, who's providing what service, and things that you can use, particularly in your early stages of your career, you're self-releasing. So this is where it's quite important that you have the understanding of how to collect royalties, how you can release your music, looking for somebody to do the artwork. What is that metadata thing that they talk about in the music business? Because we're digital now. So there's a lot of data that helps to track the recordings, track your performances, track your plays on radio so that you can get paid. So you have to understand all of that. And I think that the more that organizations who are more the grassroots organizations, I think, have really broken through in helping young people, especially to understand the business of the business, because people always forget it's the music industry, but it is a business.
Mm-hmm. Being here at WOMAX 2024, what does WOMAX mean to you?
Oh, it's, you know what, 30th, being as it's a matching 30th, and to co-create with Erica Smith from Barbados, who was on team as a samurai, and just the fact that it's what you selected is happening, and some people had to drop out and you had to do replacements and all of that kind of stuff. It means the world to see people hopefully enjoy the conference talks, the sessions, the mentoring, and I guess for the samurais who did the music, for people to enjoy the music that they selected and helping to expose trends, ideas, people. It's just, I love Womex. It's like this really cozy family that holds you tenderly, and you can go in deep and party, or you can just stay on the peripheral and kind of observe, but it's pretty friendly. And, you know, wearing your name tags, you can go to somebody and look at their name and have a conversation and kind of go, who are you? What do you do? Hey, or go to a stand and find something new, or meet somebody new, or meet your old friends. There's people I see here every year. It's like meet a Womex, eh? Yeah. Some for the last 3 years, some from the beginning, some that were new then. So you're always open, or working with people who are first timers. So Womex like this morning, and being able to hopefully give people the confidence to make it work for them.
And I'd like to attest this because this is my first time being here, and I do feel the atmosphere is just very welcoming and very friendly, and I don't know, I have a really good time on my first day here as well. In the program, I also see that there's a lot of room for diversity and inclusion. I know that this is also a theme that has run through your life, being in several organizations. Could you share a little bit about that?
Yes, I sit on the UK Music Diversity Taskforce, and also co-founded the Black Association for Arts UK. And being on the task force, trying to look at an industry that you want to reflect the global majority, whether that's in genres or wherever it's coming from. I think I think this was their record applications for the conference, over 200 plus applications. When those are coming in, it's really hard to read all of these amazing ideas, concepts, people, and try to lock that down into 14 sessions, but to try to think about it from a global map perspective, wanting to reflect different aspects of the globe, different things that are current, what's trending, when we're looking at war, when we're looking at how music has a role of bringing musicians together. I think there was a band who showcased here, actually, Palestinian and an Israeli band, and I remember their name. I went to see them and I brought their CD, and I'd seen them in London as well. And it was interesting that they'd come together and look at where we are in the world. So I think when you're looking at the diversity of the people at Womex and the kind of talks that there are, we're looking at what's happening in the world as well as what the industry may be needing or where it might be leading to try and provide a balanced program that's engaging and hopefully allows people to have conversations that may be difficult outside of this arena.
If people want to connect with you directly or connect with the Midi Music Company, where can they find you?
Yeah, so we're on Instagram, the midimusiccompany.co.uk. I think Instagram, we're on Facebook. I think they do the ticker, ticker toka toka. I'm not on anything, but you can connect with us at www.themidimusiccompany.co.uk.
As always, the very last question. What is the power of music?
It fills your soul. It allows you to connect with other light beings on this earth, to understand situations and crises through other eyes, to see things in different ways and to comprehend and understand different perspectives. And it fills your soul. It is part of your story. You can almost have conversations and sing a song on different lines, whether that is just because something is so amazing, and then you think of a song that has amazing in it, and it tells the story of that feeling. Music is emotions. Music is being.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much for listening. If you want more information about JM, or you would like to get involved, visit www.jmi.net. At JMI, we are on a mission to make the world more musical. That's why we created Mubazar, a digital platform that helps us manage all our musical activities across 80 countries worldwide, connecting musicians with opportunities to grow both personally and professionally. If you are a music professional looking for a better way to manage and promote your music activities, check out Mubazar. Created for music organizers, by music organizers, Mubazar allows you to run music competitions, workshops, camps, auditions, masterclasses, awards, events, and much more. Mubazar offers custom application forms, payments for your activities, jury tools, translations, analytics, and more. Mubazar is fast becoming the best place for musicians to find and apply for music opportunities online, and you can sign up today for a free organizer account by going to www.mubazar.com, registering, and then requesting to upgrade to an organizer on the right-hand menu. For more info, don't hesitate to get in touch via support@mubazar.com. It would mean a lot to us if you could give us 1 minute of your time and rate and review the podcast. In case you have any suggestions or would like to be one of our next guests, feel free to reach out to us through the JMI socials.